I'm not going to be done with this till I know why they died.
Hey guys, I'm immensely fascinated with how you guys are choosing to expand the Citadel universe. We're going forward in time with Deanna in Italy. We're going back in time with Honey Bunny in India. I'm curious to start, how did you choose those locations and those time periods as the next chapters?
Well, we started in terms of thinking about collaborators. We wanted this to be a global venture. You know, we had great support from Prime Video in embracing it as a truly global venture. And so we knew we were going to have to find partners who were as collaborative and open as we were, because it was going to really require, you know, a heightened level of communication, of openness, of organization. And so it started with identifying DK, Raj, and Sita, and Gina and Catalea, which were filmmakers that we admired. We had loved their work. And we felt like they were going to be incredible partners and collaborators to us. And so that's what sort of led us organically to Italy and India. And I think it's no coincidence that these exquisite filmmakers come from countries that have such a rich history, you know, in cinema. So that's the first thing. And then when it comes to the timelines, it's really just it's twofold. We look at the great story that David laid out in season 1, and you think about these characters and the interesting and complex sort of challenges that they're faced with. And it felt that there was a lot of rich and fertile territory to mine with Nadia as a child, knowing that her mother also, you know, grew up as a spy. It felt like there was a lot of rich territory to mine on the Manticore side of things, because that had just sort of been introduced but not fully dug into. But then also we wanted to think about ways to not only surprise ourselves but surprise audiences. And so the timelines that we're sitting within, you know, really gave the filmmakers opportunity to lean into stylistic choices that they were excited by. You know, we have a very sort of futuristic sci-fi bent in Deanna, and then we have this like grounded analog feel, you know, within Honey Bunny. And I think that it gives audiences a good variety or diversity of experiences all around.
Given that these are different time periods, can these new stories continue on their own, or are they like truly standalone stories or chapters?
They can continue. I think that's the beauty of this entire sort of grand experiment that we're doing with Citadel, is that we can go backward and forward in time. We can learn new things about a character in the past that informs the future, or something in the future that we then may see come to fruition in the past. So we're open to all of it,
Speaking of that, as the timeline potentially expands, I'm curious now, and even at the beginning of this process, how far are you planning ahead, and what locations may be center points for the next stories we see?
We're dreaming always, I think about. I mean, and what excites us is like the incredible characters and the actors that come to play those characters, and also, you know, what Gina's doing with Deanna and Catalea, and DK, Raj, and Sita are doing with Honey Bunny, and we fall in love with the character from their show. It inspires us. Oh, can we take them here? So we're always thinking about those things, but at the moment we're just like very, very excited to put these 2 shows out into the world and to be working on season 2 of Citadel US.
I still have to ask, though, because it captures my imagination so much. When they allude to the beginnings of the Citadel organization, could we ever see that, or is that just too far in the past?
Oh, it'd be so fun to see, I think. And obviously we're willing to embrace different timelines.
Totally.
So, yes. It's also fascinating to me that the entry point to the beginning of Citadel is sort of the destruction of this organization. I'm curious, when you started this process and you start building this universe, do you have an end game in mind for this spyverse?
I think, listen, there are definitely resolutions that we have in mind for certain character arcs and ideas, but we also want to be very open. What's so wonderful about this process is that it's such an open collaboration. So we want to leave room for that, you know, stroke of inspiration or something that DK and Raj come up with that can then inform something for the grand plan of this entire universe. So we definitely have a lot of things in mind, but we always want to be very flexible with what those could be.
I think something that excites us as filmmakers, and Anthony and Joe certainly subscribe to this ethos as well, is that we want to surprise ourselves and surprise audiences. And so to your point, it felt like a very surprising place to start with the demise of this organization. And then to David's point, if we are open about where we can go, it gives room for us to continue to surprise ourselves.
My next question is kind of a weird one, because you're on the creative side of this, but if you can step out of that as an observer, if you were a fan of the show, Do you think, in your opinion, in the timeline post-Citadel, that organization needs to be rebuilt to counter Manticore? Or it is what it is, let's just focus on the characters?
I mean, that's the great question. Yeah.
Watch season 2.
We might explore that.
Yes.
Okay, let me take it back from a technical part. So when I think of a Citadel story, having now seen 3 that are ongoing, I think of the factions in the background. I think of the use of time as a mechanic to tell these stories. And I think most of all about family and children. What would you subscribe to being the key elements in crafting a Citadel story?
You laid it out
You
so
just
beautifully.
did,
Those
yeah.
three
Thank you.
ingredients.
That was it.
Yes, it was perfect.
That's really wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
And the heartbeat is family. I
Yeah.
think it's really this emotional and character-driven story about folks who have to live as liars, right? As spies have to live in the lie. And so if you do, can you ever have a life of truth? Can you have a true love? How are you a parent in that sort of scenario? So those are like the conflicts that we were really excited to explore, that in this long-form storytelling within the spy genre, we were able to do.
Yeah.
are there any, speaking of like children and family, are there any characters I can trust right now?
The children you can usually trust. Yeah.
Okay.
They're the most honest. Yeah.
It just depends where they grow up to
Totally. Yeah.
appear in the,
For sure.
because we do see some children and their future selves in these
Yeah.
stories may not be trustworthy. So,
Totally.
yeah.
Makes me wonder about the next generation
Yeah,
beyond that.
exactly.
Yes.
Okay, well, in the next coming weeks, we have the beginnings of Citadel, Deanna, and then Honey Bunny. It's a very exciting
Yeah.
time. What are you most excited for fans to see when these things launch?
Oh my God.
Just
everything.
Yeah, the great work of Gina and Catalea and DK Raj and Sita. It's, everything about them that we've always admired and connected to, and we know so many others have as well. We're hoping even more people get to come, to witness what it is that they're capable of as artists. I think that they're all truly incredible. We have so much respect for what it is that they do. We've learned so much from each of them. And so this week's just been a thrill for us because it's really us saying, please, watch how awesome each of these people are at what they do and the teams that they work with. The level of execution across each of these is remarkable.
Look, I'm out of time, but congrats so far. I'm
Thank
very
you.
excited also to see, we didn't get into it here, but I'm very excited to see what Mason and Nadia are up to next, and especially my man Orlick. I love seeing
Yeah.
it too. So,
That's
thanks, guys.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Cheers,
Really
guys.
appreciate it. Thank
Great to see you.
What do I have to do?
Get them to trust you. But you'll still work for us.